Good evening. Thank you for joining us tonight for KREM News 10 at 10, where we give you more news in less time. I'm Cody Proctor. Tonight, a bill aimed at ending hazing on college campuses nationwide now heads to President Joe Biden's desk, waiting for his signature. KREM 2's Connor McAvoy spoke with the mother of a WSU freshman whose death prompted her family to take action. Connor?
This November marks 5 years since Sam Martinez died as a college freshman in Pullman, believed to be a result of hazing. Now, this national bill would require schools across the country to include any hazing incidents in their annual crime reports.
He was being hazed almost from the moment that he stepped onto campus.
Washington State University freshman Sam Martinez died from alcohol poisoning during a ritual while in the fraternity Alpha Tau Omega. His mother, Jolene Houts, says information she found after his death left her in shock.
That same fraternity had a years-long disciplinary track record of hazing and drug and alcohol violations, other misconduct. If we had known that, Sam would still be alive today.
The family's grief led them to craft Sam's Law to make hazing a gross misdemeanor. Any incidents involving bodily harm opens up the possibility for it to be charged as a felony. The law took effect in Washington in 2022. But their work didn't stop at the state. The Stop Campus Hazing Act passed the U.S. Senate and the House of Representatives. Houts says it's the result of her and other families' work after losing children to hazing-related deaths. The bill requires institutions to publish hazing policies and report organizations that violate them. Houts says her work and the connections she's made since her son's passing made her realize hazing isn't exclusive to Greek organizations.
I know families who have lost their children due to hazing as they were trying to join a marching band. Athletic teams is another place where hazing happens all too frequently.
An occurrence she says still happens in Washington state, even with the state law in effect.
When I last looked about 3 months ago, most of them were not doing it, even though it's the law.
House says she hopes once the national bill becomes law, incidents like the one leading to her son's death don't happen again.
We hear about it when there's a death, and that's the most tragic outcome. But there are plenty of people who suffer the consequences of hazing, whether they're physically injured or mentally and emotionally, hurt by being hazed. It's really important that we talk about this and bring the information forward.
Sam's family also helped start a database known as hazinginfo.org. There, users can find reporting on hazing incidents across 9 states. They're currently working on new technology to eventually reach all 50. Connor McAvoy, KREM 2 News.
Connor, thanks so much. In the meantime, it is finally starting to look like winter after we woke up to some snow this morning, and we could be in for more up in the mountains. Meteorologist Michelle Boss getting us caught up tonight in the Weather Center.
Yeah, so an interesting thing. Yes, more snow in the mountains for tomorrow, but we are seeing warmer temperatures and rising snow levels. So it looks like we're going from snow this morning back to rain again, at least for the first half of our weekend. Let's take a look at satellite and radar right now, and you can see mostly just plain old rain south of Highway 2. Deer Park was reporting some mixed precipitation, so areas, those northern valleys, and of course elevations above 3,000 feet likely seeing snow. But with warming temperatures, we'll likely see a transition in many locations during the overnight hours. Yes, warming temperatures even overnight. We do have some winter weather advisories that continue until 10 o'clock tomorrow morning, especially for north central Washington, where places like Wenatchee, Omak could still see some light accumulations, 2 to 6 inches in the valleys, 4 to 9 inches in the mountains, including Sherman Pass, Stevens Pass, picking up 8 to 12 inches through tomorrow morning. Temperature-wise, we are above freezing in Spokane and in Coeur d'Alene. As I mentioned, we'll see steady or rising temperatures during the overnight hours. So it's going to be a relatively mild day tomorrow, which means mostly rain for us. Most of the rain should be in the morning, but we're otherwise looking at mostly cloudy skies for the rest of the day on Saturday. Should be able to squeeze out a dry day on Saturday, maybe even some sun breaks, but a little bit cooler with highs in the upper 30s.
First couple of days were pretty rough. Still is. I just want to talk to him.
The family of the man driving a tanker that exploded on I-90 speaks out tonight about the questions that remained around his death. KREM 2's Christian Garza spent the day talking with the family as they try to cope with the loss of a father and a husband.
A Pasco family is searching for answers tonight. They believe Robert Martinez is the person who died in the I-90 tanker crash near 4 Lakes last week. After meeting online and getting married 5 years ago, Kimberly Martinez says she could always count on her husband, Robert, to be there waiting for her after she came home from work. But one day, he wasn't there.
He was my everything.
The morning of the crash, Kimberly says she and Robert were texting about the road conditions.
And I just said, be careful. And he said, I'm slowing down. And he was a careful driver, regardless.
Later in the day, Kimberly says she got a call from the fueling company Robert worked for, Cougar Den Fueling.
And I knew something was wrong just because why would they be calling me?
Telling her there was an accident on I-90 and they were 99% sure it was Robert who died in the crash.
I texted him, I tried calling him because I thought, what if they were wrong? What if there's a mistake?
While authorities haven't fully identified him because of the lack of DNA at the scene, the Martinez family has done their own investigating. The family says the last location his phone pinged was near the same site of the I-90 tanker crash. In the phone call with his company, they told Kimberly he had the only truck in the area, and he never came home that night.
I just kept thinking, I'll be home tonight. And if it was a mistake, it will figure out a way to get a hold of me.
Based on this information, the family believes it was Robert who died in the crash. Robert's son Gavin detailing what life has been like without his best friend.
This is like the longest I've ever gone without talking to him. So I just miss him. I just miss his voice.
I want to hear him. I want to hold his hand.
While there are still more questions than answers surrounding the crash, one thing is certain. Robert's family is choosing to focus on who he was and what he meant to those around him.
I'm just very, very blessed to have had him in my life.
A family friend of the Martinez family has set up a GoFundMe to help the family while they're grieving. Washington State Patrol says they are waiting for DNA results to confirm the driver's identity. They are hoping to do that by confirming the victim's DNA match to Robert's son. Those results should be finalized here in the next couple of weeks. In the newsroom, Christian Garza, KREM 2 News.
Let's turn now to Night Beat for a quick look at the day's top stories. Spokane-based Brett Sports, which owns the Chiefs and Indians, just announced it's selling half its current roster of teams. Both the Tri-Cities Dust Devils and Rancho Cucamonga Quakes are being sold to Diamond Baseball Holdings. However, Brett Sports says Spokane fans have no reason to fear the future for their teams. Instead, the company says the sale will help them focus on the Spokane teams. Meanwhile, a California man who spent counterfeit money in Post Falls will spend 5 years in prison. Our news partners at the Coeur d'Alene Press report prosecutors say Clinton Curry spent hundreds of dollars worth of counterfeit currency. When investigators looked into the case, they found he'd done the same in 8 other states, including Oregon and Washington. In total, authorities say he used or attempted to use more than $40,000 in counterfeit cash. Curry must also pay restitution to the businesses he defrauded. And the Idaho Department of Lands approved a key permit for a proposed development near Trestle Creek. The town's about 15 minutes east of Sandpoint. The permit allows builders to move forward with plans to develop 7 residential lots and an 88-slip commercial marina near the mouth of Trestle Creek. The project's drawn some public backlash, mostly over the potential dangers to protected bull trout populations that spawn in Trestle Creek. And that was your Night Beat. To learn more about any of these stories, just head to our website, KREM.com. In the meantime, taking a look at national news tonight, Luigi Mangiani, the man suspected of murdering the United Healthcare CEO in Manhattan, could be days away from coming to New York to face a murder charge. A growing pile of evidence has already made its way to a Manhattan grand jury, which NYPD investigators say places Mangiani at the scene where United Healthcare CEO Brian Thompson was murdered. Police are trying to determine a motive for the suspect, who they say was found with a handwritten 3-page document reading in part, "These parasites simply had it coming." In a statement, United Healthcare says he was never a client, but the NYPD says the company may have been targeted due to it being the largest or one of the largest private health insurance companies in the U.S. I'll take a look at this. Increasing reports of drone sightings in New Jersey, leaving people rattled tonight. There are also now reports in New York, Connecticut, Pennsylvania, and Maryland. As precaution, the FAA is temporarily prohibiting drone flights over Picatinny Arsenal military base, where a number of the sightings have been made. A national security communications advisor says it appears many of the reported sightings are actually manned aircraft being operated lawfully. The FBI, which is among several agencies investigating, released a joint statement with the Department of Homeland Security saying there's no evidence the reported drone sightings pose a national security or public safety threat. And that was your KREM 2 News 10 at 10, where you get more news in less time.